Hi there, here's another tutorial on the Westlicht Performer sequencer module. Today I'm going to look at the generate functions that can generate all sorts of random stuff, and I'm going to show you how I use the MIDI input, which is super cool. So first I'm going to show you the generate stuff. This isn't actually explained in the manual. I just kind of came across it by chance. I guess it's kind of a hidden function, or maybe it is in the manual. Maybe I'm really bad at reading. I couldn't find it. Anyway, here's how you generate random stuff with this sequencer. Before we get into it, track 1 is assigned to, it's all hooked into the Mutable Instruments module. Number 2 is hooked into the 2HP bell, and number 3, these two guys, hooked up to the 2HP plug. Alright, generate stuff. I'm on track 2 at the moment, which is the bell. Hold these two down. There's Gen here. I was like, what the hell is Gen? Oh, cool, we can generate Euclidean or random things. Let's go random. As you can see, there's all these parameters that should dictate how you come up with a random bunch of gates. The bias makes it go up and down, which for gates turns them on or off. The scale makes it more erratic, which is more applicable to note sequencing, I suppose, or anything else. Smooth, smooths it out. Seeds, I'm not really sure what that means, but it gives you 1,000 alternatives. Not 5, not 10, but 1,000. You can scroll for ages and get different randomness. Anyway, so there's a random thing. Cool, that'll do. Hold these two down again, press commit. And now we've got just a few gates there. Not very exciting so far. When I first discovered this feature, I thought it would spit out a complete random sequence, and kind of realized over time that it's not actually making any notes or anything, it's just spitting out gates. But then sometimes it was spitting out notes, and I was like, why the hell is this happening? And I realized because it depends on where you are in your screen as to what it applies the random sequence to, which I thought was annoying at first, but now I realize it's actually super cool because you can randomize all these different layers of the sequencer. So if I want to put some random notes in, you can straight away hear that we're getting some random notes. You can scale that down to make it less erratic. Let's bias it up to make it more higher pitched. Yeah, sure, that'll do. Commit. So now it's applied some notes to those gates that we put in before. They're a bit random though, so we can apply a scale to this. Let's go minor. Yeah, cute. Alright. So as I said before though, you can apply that randomness to anything of these layers. So we can actually go, hey, how about we randomize the note range so it actually picks notes or has a degree of randomness applied to each note, not just the same every time. So go generate. Let's scale it down, otherwise it'll be nuts. And go commit. And then we can also do the same to our gate probability. In there. So you commit. So now we can see those gates have adjusted probability of actually happening. So now in the space of seconds, we've got basically a generative sequence, all in scale. So that's a pretty cool addition to this sequencer that they should probably have in the manual, but I'm pleased that I came across it. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about this MIDI input and the things it can do. All right, I'll just initialize this project for cleanliness. So this is just a MIDI input via an adapter coming from this new Waldorf keyboard that I have, which has totally changed the way I approach modular. It's made everything far more seamless and easy when it comes to sequencing melodies anyway. So I'm on channel 1 right now, and MIDI in, which the MIDI is coming from the keyboard, by the way, if that wasn't clear. And I can just play that. Which is awesome. I can just play that mutable instruments elements with the keyboard now. Works perfectly. But what's really great is if I go to track 2, it automatically changes the MIDI monitoring to track 2. So it's just so easy to switch between voices now. It's just so good and fun and easy. I can just wire up a bunch of voices, plug in my MIDI keyboard, whether it's this keyboard or another MIDI controller, it can be a pad controller, whatever. It just makes life easy. Now all I do is hit record and I can just put in my sequence. And then go into another track and put in something here. Go over to this track, put something here. And it will just loop, and I can just record in come up with a sequence in like an iterative process. I'm just adjusting the sound of the elements right now. Okay. What we can also do now, though, of course, is apply what we just learned with the randomized functions. Let's put in a little bit more stuff here. So, as a workflow thing, cool, now I've recorded a sequence. Hey, maybe I want to make that adjust the probability for those gates so it's not the same every time. I can just click on gate and go doop. And yeah, adjust as I see fit the randomness applied to the probability. Which is a lovely feature, I reckon. Cool, that's that. Another big thing that you can use the MIDI in for is bringing in a polyphonic signal and putting it to your modular system. So let's ditch this and start again. Let's go project, initialize, yes. Okay, so back to where we were, empty project. Let's just go to the standard gate screen. Okay, starting point. So I've still got my 3 voices wired up. There's no reason we can't take a MIDI signal theoretically and play those 3 voices polyphonically. And yeah, we can do that with this. So we can go to page layout, turn track 1 into a MIDI CV track. Yes. And then we've actually got to go to track 2 to the gate. And so these are your gate assignments. You can see that gate 2 is assigned to track 2 gate, but we don't want that. We want it to be assigned to, oh, I've made a mistake. First things first, we need to go back to page steps on track 1 and tell it to have 3 voices, not 4, 3. Cool. Now we go to layout, go to the gate and we want it to be track 1, gate 2, and the same with this, and the same with the CV, so we get the notes. There we go. So now, in theory, we should be able to play a chord, and it will divvy those notes up to my 3 voices. So let's have a go. Hard to tell with these things, but yeah, that's working. Maybe I'll put the elements to a more plucky noise so you can actually hear it. Yay, chords! Cool. So the downsides of working this way is that you can't record to all 3 tracks. Like, you can't record the MIDI, polyphonic MIDI in. I don't think. I can't find a way to do it. I've faffed around with a few ideas, but it doesn't seem to be an easy way to do it. Maybe there's a way in routing so you can route the outputs of these tracks into different tracks and record the outputs. Probably is a way. But yeah, it's not easy and it's not fun. So I've pretty much just stuck to the other way of working, which suits me just fine. The other problem with having a MIDI track assigned is now it doesn't automatically monitor other tracks MIDI. It just always goes to this one track over here. So if it was monitoring MIDI on this track, we'd see this track flash, but as you can see, it's just monitoring the track assigned to MIDI, which makes sense. So pretty much the only scenario I reckon you'd actually use that is if you've got keys that you want to play with the modular, or you've got a polyphonic sequencer. I've been using the Arturia key step and experimenting with that because that has a polyphonic sequencer over MIDI. So you can plug that in and assign, your channels to whatever you want, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, I think that about wraps it up. I will actually demonstrate one more thing. So with routings, you can assign like MIDI CC signals and pitch wheel signals and all that sort of things to your CV outputs. So go to, what the hell's routings? I always forget. There, page routings, targets, transpose, octave up and down on tracks 1. I think that will assign it to all of them. Source, MIDI, and then MIDI event, pitch bend, missed, commit. So I think now, yep. So it's probably off camera, yes it is, but I'm playing with the pitch wheel on this keyboard and it's outputting the adjusted pitch as per our routing. And as you saw as I was scrolling through, there's lots of room for creativity there. You could assign the output of a particular CC controller MIDI signal to one of the extra outputs and then send it to a filter or something. So yeah, there's lots of ways you can dig into the possibilities of the sequencer there. It's not really my thing. It's a lot of digging through menus and mucking around with MIDI. I just like the system that I had before, which was, go back to this, initialize project. Then I've just got these 3 tracks magically being monitored by my keyboard. And already had record on, so now it's just recorded my little noodle. Yeah, okay. Well, I think I said everything I want to say. If you've got any more questions, feel free to hit me up and I'll do my best to answer. I don't know everything about this awesome sequencer, but I just really like it, you know? I think it's pretty good. Yeah, cool. All right, cheers guys.